because the commanders watching an operation and also directing the operation want to know as soon as he hit the beach what the casualty rates are. All in Navajo. You don't want the enemy to know it. You also want information back in Navajo as to where the enemy fires are coming from by coordinates, so that the other units could be directed to fire on those. Also, to report back the supply situation. When you land, right behind you, you're supposed to have ammunition delivered to the beach. Sometimes they get blown up, so you're sitting out there on the beach with little or no ammunition, no hand grenades, and you don't want the enemy to know that. So all of those are fed back to the command ship in Navajo. So Navajo would be assigned to the infantry unit with the initial first wave. There would be Navajo assigned to artillery unit, again to direct gunfire in Navajo. Navajo would be assigned to the tank unit, again to communicate in Navajo as to where they're supposed to go. Also, Navajo is assigned to battleships, aircraft carrier, all these places, to the observation plane crew, Marine Corps. And of course, it's always Navajo, several of them in the command ship, receiving all these messages in Navajo, and also the commanders, the general and the admiral, sending messages to these different units, and they're all done in Navajo. So the primary circuit communication system for all top secret messages, Navajo. All the other messages, there's another line, which is the English line. Those would be used. So that's how the communication worked. So on the island of Iwo Jima, for instance, 3 Marine Division landed, 3rd, 4th, and 5th Marine Division. On the north side of that island, past the airport, there were 3 little hills. Company Marines were pinned down. The commander wanted help, needed help. Wrote a message, gave it to Navajo code talker that's assigned to the front line. He sends it in Navajo code to another Navajo that's assigned to the command post on the beach, asking for help. Well, this Navajo sent this particular code. It sounds like this. The pe na ashipi that is kai de na sonse kanji ochin sida sa ta has ta na kid shash. Well, you didn't understand it, of course. The enemy didn't either. But let's say if that message were broadcast out here to Navajos, and Navajos were listening, here's what they would have heard. This code talker saying over the radio, sheep, eyes, nose, deer, destroyers, tea, mouse, turkey, onion, sick horse, 3, 6, 2, B. That's what he would have said. Does that sound like asking for help? But the code talker at the beach command post writes down, he hears this, he writes it down in English. Send demolition team to hill 362B. There were 3 hills on the north side of the airport. 362A, 362B, 362C. Immediately, flamethrower tanks, and other demolition crew was sent out there to save the entire company of the Marines that were in trouble. That's just one example of how the code was used. On Iwo Jima, for instance, Major Connor, 5th Marine Division Communication Officer, made the following report to the command ship. During the first 48 hours of the landing, most crucial part of any landing is the first 24 or 48 hours. He says, during the first 48 hours of landing on Iwo, over 800 messages were sent in Navajo without a single mistake. He'd add that. If you do a little math, that means Navajo code was going through the air every 3 minutes for 48 hours, non-stop. So that's how critical the Navajo code was used. It was the only military code, they tell us, never broken by an enemy. So, with that, the code remained a top secret even after the war was over. 430 of us served, over a dozen never came home, they were killed in action, and some seemingly were almost came home wounded. When we got discharged from the United States Marine, we were told not to tell anybody what we did. Well, because they tell us it was still a top secret, just tell them you were a radio man, that's it. So when we came home, our relatives asked us what we did, we said we were radio men, that's it. Until 23 years later, we read in newspaper that there were code talkers in the Pacific. And someone said, hey, that's us. We were code talkers. So after that, books have been written, documentary has been made, movies been made, and of course, we were asked to talk to folks like you who wanted to know, and sometimes it's difficult to recall everything after 23 years of being absent, forgotten all about it, and now we try to remember things. So that's how the Navajo code was used, very effective, and that code on Iwo Jima, that little asking for help, took 20 seconds. If that was to be sent in the regular coding method they use in English code, scramble it, after you scramble, you write it down, then you send it. The guy at the other end takes it down in scrambled form, then he feeds it to the machine that deciphers, scrambles it, and then the message is delivered. That takes 35 minutes versus 20 seconds. So that's why Marines and Navy heavily depended on Navajo, because it was fast, it was very accurate, and most of all, the enemy never understood it. That's why they kept it a secret for 23 years, because they probably thought there might be another major war somewhere, and they'll use the code again. But we never did. So today, we just buried another code talker last week over at Shipper. He was 89 years old. And we lose about 3 or 4 code talkers every year. So there's still 30 of us still alive. Most of us are in our mid-80s and older. 87, 89, 90, 95, still alive. I'm 85, pushing 86. I'm the youngest, as I said earlier. I joined when I was 15 years old. And today we are working on a National Navajo Code Talker Museum to be built here. To tell the entire story, what I told you is just a very small capsule of what really went on, how we lived out here, and what made the Navajo Code so successful. It wasn't just naming different things, different names, but how can you remember? Remember, we started with 260 code words in 1942. By 1945, we had over 600 code words to remember, because as the war went on, we added more code words that we didn't have names for them. So every one of us had to know that. That's why that need to be told. And each landing had different stories and different incidents. So all of that needs to be told. Not only because that we want to know what is the legacy, America's legacy, not just Navajo legacy or Marine Corps legacy, but it's America's legacy, your legacy. That's why it's important to build this National Navajo Code Talker Museum to tell the story about how America, diverse community that we are, we have different languages, different skills, different talents. When our way of life is threatened from outside, we come together as one and use the skills and talents that each one of us have from this diverse community and defend the freedom and the liberty that we all share and love. And that's what this code talker to me means to all of us. And we need to preserve it so that your children, my children, your grandkids, my grandkids, and their kids and on, when they go through this museum, will know how America defends its freedom and liberty, how a diverse community can rise up and be together and defend this country of ours. That's what this legacy is all about. So it's yours just as well as mine. So we're working on it. I have a postcard here that I want to give to you. I'll autograph it, and you can take it as a memento of your visit here. The yellow shirt we adopted after 1968 to be the uniform, official uniform of Navajo Code Talkers. Why the yellow shirt? We took with us a corn pollen. Corn pollen is yellow, and we took that with us to war, for protection. So that's what the yellow shirt represents. Red cap, of course, we're very proud to have served as the United States Marines. The turquoise necklace, turquoise is a sacred stone of the Navajos. So that's what this uniform is all about, and we wear it on a special occasion. President Ronald Reagan declared August 14th to be National Navajo Code Talker Day. That's when we put this uniform on and we celebrate on August 14th every year. So that's this picture. This picture of me taken 2 years ago when I was 84 years old. In the back, there's a little story about me, and also another picture, 2 young Marines. One of them is me. This was taken when I was 16 years old, Pearl Harbor, with another code talker. 16 years old on one side, 84 on the other side. So I'll leave this with you as a memento of your visit here. And I also have books here. As I said, books have been written. This is the first book that was written about Navajo code talkers. I like this book because it quotes quite a few code talkers who are gone now, they're no longer alive, and what they experienced as a code talker. It's very interesting, because some of them were taken prisoners by Marines, thinking we were Japanese dressed in Navajo uniform, Marine Corps uniform. And also the other thing I like about this is that there's a couple of pictures of me. One of them with President Nixon and myself, Oval Office, we doing this to him, and it's in there too. And as I said, I got this card for you. Sign them. Do you have any questions? If there are no questions, thank you very much. Any donation you wish to give,